Philadelphia area schools are closing because of the coronavirus, and what does it take to be a successful new agent? Tune into Toole Time right now. We are back. I'm Tom Toole. She's Jess Lion, and we've got a lot to unpack today. Specifically, the news story taking over the entire country at this point, the coronavirus. So you may have noticed the outfit change here, and the beginning of the week, coronavirus was a little bit of a different story than when we're airing this now, and wanted to kind of chime in with what's been going on and what we've seen happen. So what do you think about all this, Jess? This has been a pretty wild 72 hours or so here.
Yeah, on Monday when we first shot this, my opinion was, I'm not going to get it. It's not as serious. It's really just only affecting people who maybe their immune system's down. And still, like, it's, if you're in good health, the likelihood, apparently, of what I'm hearing is if you get it, you're really nothing crazy is going to happen. But in terms of the school shutting down, I would say it's a good preventative measure. Like, Westchester is closed now for the rest of the year. I know you said your kids are out of school until end of March.
All Montgomery County schools aren't allowed to go back until March 27th.
So preventative measures are great. People are working from home. And I think it's really going to have a bigger effect than just like the coronavirus. Like, people are working from home. I think it's going to really show like what people can do in terms of, do they need an office space? And I do think a lot of industries, they do need to have like a physical location. But and I'm going off on a tangent here, but I think it's going to be really eye-opening.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that happened. The NBA suspended the season, right? Mm-hmm. You have Rudy Gobert, all-star center for the Jazz. So if you don't know anything about basketball like Jess, you probably have no idea who this guy is.
I don't.
He got on air and said, or at a press conference, and he was like grabbing the mics and saying it was not a big deal. And then all of a sudden, on Wednesday night, the Jazz at Thunder game was canceled, and he was the first guy to test positive for it in the NBA. Tom Hanks and his wife Rita Wilson have the virus, and they're
probably in good
they're going to
health.
be fine.
Yeah.
What my opinion of the virus has not changed in that if you are like heavy, you're overweight, you got some sort of like physical issue, like a health issue, like maybe it's an immune system thing, maybe you're recovering from something, whatever it is, or you're older, above 60 is kind of what they said on the news. That's where you got to be a little more careful here, and that hasn't changed. Still more people are dying from the flu than this virus. It's the issue is the virus is spreading so fast, and I still agree this is getting a little blown out of proportion.
Well, when we see videos of people like physically beating other people up for a roll of toilet paper in Target, I think that's too much.
Well, that's where it goes a little crazy, and I think that's where the media and can take things too far. Now, is this a real issue? We're going to see how actually like deadly and lethal this is. What I know is that they're doing the right things with being preventative, right? Like having kids not go to school, because little kids, like, they don't wash their hands.
Yeah.
Like, I have to tell my kids every time they go to the bathroom, wash your hands.
I feel like a lot of adults don't wash their hands.
30% of the population doesn't wash their hands. So, but little kids, at least, maybe they don't know any better, right?
Yeah.
So all the preventative stuff going on, I appreciate. And school, they're saying you have to limit large gatherings, so there's a lot of people because you don't know who's going to have it. So that's the thing to be mindful of. And if you're not feeling well, don't go to work. Like, and this is, I say this around here all the time. Like, people come
regardless of coronavirus.
Well, because I don't want to get sick.
Yeah.
You don't want to get sick. Other people don't want to get sick. And you don't know what everyone's personal situation is. They could be going through something that they don't want to share with you. Who knows? So with all the things that are happening, the NCAA tournament's canceled now. So looks like Netflix stock's probably going to go up the next couple of weeks, would be my guess, because there's nothing to watch. So, this is certainly serious. And what I'll tell everyone watching is there's going to be a couple effects. And this is nothing different than what I've told you or we've talked about as a team, is that there's still going to be business to be done. People are still going to buy and sell homes. That's going to happen because this is not going to last, hopefully. We don't know this for sure, but this isn't going to be like a long-term thing. It's probably going to take a few months for this to get by from what all the experts are saying. Mm-hmm. So people are still transacting, and that's where if you're running your own business, you got to work even harder right now to find those right people.
Well, some people are going to pump the brakes.
Well, and that's where you got to fill your pipeline up and have them ready to go and be ready to get very busy, maybe all of a sudden the spring market is now the summer market. We don't know how that's going to play out. So there's a lot of, Madison Square Garden, they're not going to have any events there for a while. NYC's in a state of emergency. I mean, there's real things that are happening here, and the best thing for everyone to do is stay calm.
Yes.
Don't freak out. And I'm still not varying from my opinion on the coronavirus. I appreciate the opinion that we want to stop the spread of it rather than just go forward with business as usual.
I think business should move forward as usual, but everybody should take a precaution, like go the extra step, bring things to wipe things down, but just don't freak out and continue to work just like you normally would.
I think that's the best advice we're going to get here. So a little bit of a different take on this. Felt it was important enough to reshoot it, talk about it. Everyone knows what's going on right now. Just make the logical decision would be that's what they had a couple health experts on the news, and I rarely watch the news, and I watched it last night mainly because I wanted to see what the president was going to say, and then what the NBA was saying when they suspended the season after I was watching the Sixers game and all this other stuff. So it's really a pretty easy decision. Is it essential or not? Are you going to be putting yourself at risk, and are you feeling sick? Those are the questions you need to be asking yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll cut back to the regular show here. We felt this was important enough to make the obvious edit because we certainly feel an obligation to get the right information out there, and things have changed dramatically over the past 72 hours. Really interesting article that got posted on Inman this week, and I don't necessarily agree with the article, but I love the topic because right now the number of realtors in the country is at its highest ever. It means new people are getting licensed. So what should a new agent's work ethic look like? What do you think about all this, Jess?
I think of two things. I think you have to have it in you that you are going to outwork everyone else. And I also think you really have to have never give up, perseverance, because it does get hard. And there are some things that, go sideways and you might mess up or someone might not want to work for you. There's really stressful situations, but you get knocked down 9 times, you get back up 10 times. That there's situations where you just feel like the whole world's caving in on you, but you just keep on going, you'll get better. So I would say you need to outwork everyone and have perseverance.
So those are good mindset things. I agree with you on both of those. I found a couple things that were interesting in this article here, and then I'll give you my take on it and what I know. And one was, I love this one, was do not work from home. Because if you're going to sit and work at home all the time, there's way too many distractions. You're getting started in a new career. You're a brand new agent. You've got to have some structure. You've got to have some routine about what you're going to be doing every day. Because when you're getting started, that's the hardest part. Mm-hmm. So working harder than everyone else, absolutely. Also, be in an environment that's going to be conducive to success. What I also see that was missed in the article here, they talked about getting organized, which is fine. Be creative with marketing. That's fine. Align yourself with a top broker. That may or may not make a lot of sense. I'll touch on that in a second. Become an expert in your field, and that's certainly something you want to work towards down the line. And stop thinking smaller. Don't pigeonhole yourself. I agree with all those. Any new agent out there, they should be making a commitment to get on the phones and making calls every day for at least 2 hours. If you want to be successful, that is the number one thing top producers do, is they talk to more people than anybody else. So if you're a new agent and you want to find the key to success, this is in line with what you're talking about.
Tactical, yes.
Outworking everybody.
Okay.
And getting on the phone and doing that. So then you're probably asking yourself, where do I call these people? What do I do? So one is call your sphere, assemble your database of all the people you know. That to me is very easy. It's also the most successful individual lead pillar you can have because they already know you, like you, and trust you. So that would be kind of step one. Then I would find an open house to sit at every weekend. Because if you do that, then you're going to be having and tactically
talking to so many people.
Well, but tactically choose the open house where you want to be so it's in line with where you're trying to sell homes. Mm-hmm. And look and also understand what's going on in the marketplace. You got to do some research, see what's selling, what's not, what price points are hot, all those sort of things. And really, sit down and read all the contracts over so you know exactly what they say. I mean, there's so many things to do, but for a new agent, you've got to be thinking about how am I going to generate business? How am I going to get up to speed so I know what I'm talking about? and how can I go on as many appointments as possible? I mean, those are the three things. So
I think you should keep your schedule open too. I think that a lot of people get into real estate because they think that, you can do whatever you want. Your schedule is how I'm going to make it. And yes, there are things that you have obligations like picking up your kids, or maybe you're part of like a Sunday service or something like that. But people be like, I can take off during the day or off on the weekends or something like that. And I work every weekend. So keeping an open schedule, I think, is a big thing too.
Well,
booking yourself up.
You bring up a good point, because a lot of people say, I want a flexible schedule, so I'm going to get into real estate. And what they, if flexible by you mean working more than most people, that's fine. But checking the MLS in your underwear at 9 a.m. at your house, that doesn't fly. That's not going to work. And if you look at what the people because there's an 87% failure rate, right? Mm-hmm. So the reason that 87% of people fail is they say they want to get into real estate because they want to invest, or they want to be able to make calls from home, or they want to do all these different things. And the people that are successful are showing up every day, and they're treating it like a career. And getting started as a new agent, you said outwork. You've got to put in the time, and you've got to have like a clear conversation with your significant other too, and saying, look, this is going to be tough the first couple of years because I'm starting a brand new business, and we're going to need to work together on it. So to me, you got to work harder than a lot of the people that are already out there doing it, because you've got to catch up, you've got to earn business, and your skills may not be on the same level as theirs, so you got to make up with effort.
And your own business too. Like nobody's gonna. I mean, this is with anything, but nobody's gonna tell you to make the calls or go do an open house or things like that. So it's a lot of self-motivation as well. So I think that's a big key.
Well, yeah, and I mean, so it's putting in the time, right? Treating it like a career. Mm-hmm. I gave you some tactical stuff here to do, but like figuring out like what your lead pillars are going to be, where you're going to get business from, because the phone's not just going to start ringing. And if you think just buying internet leads and calling them once is going to be your way to success, you're wrong there too. So it's going to be about having a plan and finding a place where you can get the right training. I mean, to me, that's pretty critical. I mean, just showing up and getting a desk at a brokerage office, that's why a lot of these big brokerages are in trouble right now, because that model doesn't work anymore. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's all about training, knowing what to do, working smarter and harder. And, I mean, you can go online and, like, Google, like, real estate coaching, and doesn't mean you have to sign up for a coach, but there's tons of videos out there. Yeah. If you watch videos on YouTube, you will get way more information than you're going to get in a lot of cases from the broker that hires you.
Right.
Sounds like we agree. Very cool. Inman article. What did you think about the article? So let's go through this real quick. So align yourself with the top broker. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
I'm like more down.
So I would say you want to be in a place that's going to set you up to be successful. And maybe be in the right environment. So a broker, to me, could be interchangeable with team, because to me,
there you go. That makes more sense
like
to me.
if you're going to get aligned with the top team, they're going to have training in place to get their new agents off the ground right away. At least the right team will, and they're going to also have like people for you to call and do all that sort of stuff. So to me, a broker or team might be a good answer there. So if we adjust the language there, we'll give him the thumbs up on that. Be creative with your marketing.
I say thumbs up. If you join a team, it's very helpful because some of the time they'll have marketing, systems already in place for you. When I also hear this, it's like get your face all over social media all the time and let people know that you're a realtor.
So what they mentioned here, let's go a little deeper. So social media, I mean, there's a very clear plan to work that, right? Mm-hmm. But then when they talk about going like trunk shows, wine tastings, raffles, all these different things, to me, I think you got to be creative with how you're going to put the work in, and maybe it needs to be a sweat equity focus at the beginning before you start doing that sort of stuff. Social media is important, but again, there's realtors out there. I know this is their strategy. They post on social media and think people are just going to reach out to them. Mm-hmm. If you're not delivering content when it comes to marketing, like actual value, but like no one cares. Like we talked about this at our training last week, mm-hmm. where rates are really low, right? Just because rates are low, people are saying, well, the rates are low. What do we do? Well, there's no message there. It doesn't mean anything.
The right questions
or tell them what the low rates mean, right? I mean, like, hey, here's the difference in your payment, or here's how much more you can afford. So, to me, it's content marketing there. Organize yourself. So they specifically say create a schedule and establish your routine. Totally agree with that.
Yeah, I agree. Or if you have the resources, have someone else do it for you.
So create a schedule for you? You want someone to tell you where to be?
I would love that. to be very honest. I'll book my appointments. You put it in my calendar. You organize everything else. I'll just go on it.
Okay. So getting
Being
organized
is very important.
Well, I think it's more of a routine, though. Like, organizing your day is more important. Because, I mean, there's some people that are very disorganized, but they're selling a lot of homes, and they know exactly what they need to do. So, like, getting organized with your follow-ups, your database, your calls, that's where I see it being pretty critical. Do not work from home. We talked about a little bit. How do you feel about that?
I think if you are in a rhythm where, or in a situation where you're super far away from the office, like I am, working from home 1 or 2 days a week is fine. But I, in my first few years of the business, was here like every morning. And I think that is really important. That way you're just working on things. Because I would get distracted at home. Like Holly would be in my face, or I would want to clean the house. And, you know, if you don't have a set up office space, or if you have like kids running in on you, that's a pain. So I would say be in the office more often than not.
Well, especially when you're getting started. So this is for the new agent, right? So that's what we're talking about here. Becoming an expert in your field.
I think that's a no-brainer. Like,
so this is, to me... Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, you need to know what you're talking about, and always educating yourself, always continuing to learn more. That way you can relay it onto your client.
Becoming the knowledge broker, right? Like knowing like what do the rates mean? What does low inventory mean? All those sort of things. So I agree there, and it's really just understanding the industry. And then the last one is do not pigeonhole yourself.
What are they talking about?
Well, I think what they're talking about is I only sell in this neighborhood, or I only do this. And as a new agent, I was going like all over the place. So I was like, where can I get a piece of business from? And
driving like an hour and a half away.
Yeah, so I agree with that. I think overall, I think the headlines are a little misleading here. When you get into the content and what it actually means, it's pretty good. So interesting stuff. Sounds like we're aligned, but also like putting in the work and working really hard, like number one.
Absolutely.
So what do you got for a quote?
So Nick, the guy behind the camera, the best, gave us a really great quote. This is from Bear. Oh my gosh, I'm going to mess this up. Grylls? Bear Grylls. What a name. He's a survivalist. He says, survival can be summed up in 3 words, never give up, which kind of plays off on what I was just talking about, but you go.
Well, I mean, so, that's also like a Jimmy V quote, sort of, too, which was the NC State coach who had cancer. So, I mean, you look at these agents that are out there, and we've talked about like the dip before, which is like the Seth Godin concept, where you start to work really hard at something, and beginning your effort's like really high because it's like exciting and new, and then it starts to suck, and you're not seeing results right away, and that's where it's so critical not to give up, because you already spent a lot of time on it, and you're like, it's important for people to like kind of let you know along the way, hey, you're getting there, you're going down the path, you're closer than you think. Because when you don't give up, the quitters, I mean, they never win, but the people that don't quit, they oftentimes will plow through and do something that a lot of people didn't think you could get done. So I don't think there's – and Bear Grylls, I mean, that guy's done some crazy stuff if you watch his show. So it's what's the name of the show? I forget. Man versus Nature or something like that? Man versus Wild. Yeah, that's what it was.
That's cool. Well, I think of like when you're a new agent and – you have so much piled on and you're calling a bunch of people and you hear like, no, hang up. And it can beat up on you. But you're right. You're so close to the next yes, and that's when momentum starts. So, of course, I'm talking about like real estate, but it really can apply to anything. But just, like I said, you get knocked down 9 times, you get up 10. Cardi B.
We'll be back next week on that note. Thanks, guys.